Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye, guys. Okay? We're gonna move, okay? Not too close, not too close.
Okay, guys, step back, please.
Bye, Dad.
Thank you very much, okay? Stay strong, okay? Christ will build his church.
That was the Calgary police arresting yet again, jailing yet again, putting behind bars yet again a Christian pastor, this one named Tim Stevens. I couldn't help but notice the three words on the car: vigilance, courage, pride. I think they should be prosecuted for false advertising. They're not vigilant against crime. Courage, they're a bunch of cowards. And pride, I think if they are proud of what they did there, arresting a dad in front of his crying kids, then they are disgraceful. I've always said Toronto's police are the most violent in Canada. Montreal's are the most corrupt. The dumbest cops in Canada are from Aylmer, Ontario. But pound for pound, the meanest police in Canada work for Calgary. You'll remember they threatened to taser young Ocean Weisblatt for the crime of skating on a public rink that happened to be open that day. These mean, malicious, bad faith, I don't know. I feel like I need theological terminology to properly describe them. They're demonic. Who would put a dad behind bars in a police car? Was he violent? Was this dad, this pastor, going to go on a shooting spree? The Calgary police force are as much a disgrace as their mayor and police chief. And I know that's just like a race to the bottom. Just horrific. I can't watch videos like that easily. There's another one we have of an Australian mum being arrested on the sidewalk by pandemic police and separated by her screaming child. And this, while the NHL gets a free pass, while Justin Trudeau jets off to the G7 and NATO and other meetings, hobnobbing. He puts on a mask for a photo, then takes it off immediately. You know, Jason Kenney and Tyler Shandro, the health minister in Alberta, having a late night party at the Sky Palace with lots of booze. That's fine. But my God, we've got to arrest this Christian pastor in front of his children just to rub it in, because that's what you do when you're inspired by vigilance, courage, and pride. They are a disgrace. Well, joining me now is the man who was on the scene reporting that terrible moment, our new Calgary reporter, Adam Soos. He joins us via Skype. Adam, good to see you. You've had a rapport with Pastor Stevens as well as other pastors. I don't understand the war on pastors. I mean, there are a lot of different groups in society that like to be social, that like to meet. It's a human characteristic. We all like the company of each other. Sports teams in the NHL and other professional leagues are given special dispensation. In Alberta, I know they're clearing the way for the Calgary Stampede, a very large event. We saw that the Premier and the Health Minister themselves enjoyed a good party over a bottle of Jameson's whiskey at the Sky Palace. Why are they going so hard against Christian pastors and only Christian pastors? They did arrest a restaurateur up in Mirror, Alberta, but the rage against Christian pastors compared to the neutrality or passivity elsewhere is remarkable. Why?
I mean, I've come to the point now where the only possible solution or answer to that question is discrimination and bigotry. Other groups are violating the terms and these conditions in much more egregious ways, but authorities are looking the other way. Other religious groups, there's complaints being filed against them, but police won't even investigate. We went out and checked out some of these other gatherings. Police say that there's no violations taking place. AHS says the same thing. It's simply not true. This is targeted discrimination. We know that because Tyler Shandro specifically called these people out to be made an example of.
Yeah, and that's what troubles me. I mean, Maxime Bernier was arrested the other day in Manitoba after he was specifically named by the premier and a mayor who basically threatened him. I mean, the premier said, you'll be lighter in the wallet if you come to town. What does that mean? That doesn't mean you'll be paying taxes. That doesn't mean you'll go on a shopping spree. That means you will be fined. He told the police what to do, and they did it. You have the same thing here. Let me play you a clip from Calgary's debased and disgraced mayor, Naheed Nenshi, who says you have to be a far-right kook and a white supremacist to object to the lockdowns. Take a look at this.
Those people at those anti-mask protests, let's not kid ourselves. They're not people who need to eat. They are people who are marching in thinly veiled white nationalist, supremacist, anti-government protests, and they don't deserve that kind of sympathy.
And
he said that same thing several times. I think it's pretty clear that these are politically directed police, and that's what we call a police state. That's how it works in Venezuela, in Russia. It's happening in Calgary, which used to be the most conservative city in Canada. Why doesn't anyone care? I mean, you care, and I care, and Sheila Gunn-Reid cares, and our team cares, and the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms cares. But I think I've just listed everyone who cares.
And I think I agree with you. And I think that often, and it's similar, that the people who are coming out and sharing their experiences, talking about this persecution, very often come from countries where these freedoms don't exist, or that these freedoms were hard fought for. We're very privileged in Canada, Alberta, and Calgary. We think that these freedoms are a baseline, but that's simply not the case. They're the rare exception. These freedoms are something that must be guarded vigilantly. It's so perfect that you brought up that specific clip. I was actually going to suggest it would be the perfect clip to play. Later on in that very clip of Naheed Nenshi, he says, well, I'm not really one to circumvent the judicial process, but certain times there's sort of acceptance to it. He's basically himself in that video admitting openly that he is willing to circumvent the just course of law. We've heard that from lawyers. When you witness the conduct of these judges in court and some of their rulings, they're not upholding the law. They're not adhering to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. They're going off on their own, and it's ideological warfare.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.